welcome back to another video. So we have a bunch of stuff to get into today. And first of all, I want to talk about the potential of a bunch of Activision Blizzard games coming over to Xbox Game Pass if the Activision Blizzard acquisition does go through. Right now, we know they're in the stages of presenting their case to the CMA and showing why the remedies that they have offered so far, the behavioral remedies, the ones that they offered to Nintendo, NVIDIA, GeForce Now, and just countering a lot of stuff that has been said so far will be sufficient enough to meet the concerns and make the CMA okay with going ahead and passing this deal. I went through the entire responses from both Sony and Microsoft. You can find those videos on my channel in the Activision Blizzard acquisition playlist. They bring up a lot of stuff. I mean, Sony's arguments so far from what we have seen aren't really backed up by too much. It's them just kind of saying things that it seems like they're projecting. They're afraid that Microsoft is going to do a lot of the things that Sony currently does with exclusivity, timed exclusivity, and the marketing rights for a lot of their games with the parity of Call of Duty, not having features that are exclusive to the PlayStation version of the game, having content that is exclusive to the PlayStation version. You have PlayStation complaining that that could be something that happens in the future when they currently do it now. And then you have Microsoft on the other side trying to squash these concerns, saying that they are 100% going to be bringing the exact same game across all of the different platforms. Now, when it comes to other big Activision games, because of course there are way more games than just Call of Duty that will be coming over to Xbox with this acquisition. And Phil Spencer talked about this back in September, and here's what he says. We are expanding choice in two ways: through the creation of Game Pass, which gives players a subscription option, and by bringing more games to mobile platforms, including through our cloud game streaming technology. Subscription services like Game Pass make gaming more affordable and help players from all over the world find their next favorite game. Game Pass empowers developers to bring more games to more players, not fewer. We intend to make Activision Blizzard's much loved library of games, including Overwatch, Diablo, and Call of Duty, available in Game Pass, and to grow those gaming communities. By delivering even more value to players, we hope to continue growing Game Pass, extending its appeal to mobile phones and any connected device. And then he reiterated here, we are committed to making the same version of Call of Duty available on PlayStation on the same day the game launches elsewhere. So it's confirmed, but again, also within those CMA documents, they did say that they were going to be launching games into subscription services. And not only Game Pass, they said that they would offer Call of Duty specifically to PlayStation Plus and to other subscription and streaming services out there. And I believe they also said something about other Activision catalogs of games. So maybe other games in the future will be making their way out to other subscription services, because the main point of this deal, based off of the numbers we have looked at in terms of the revenues that mobile makes, based off of the popularity of just like games like Call of Duty Mobile, Call of Duty Warzone, and just from common sense, you look at where Xbox is lacking right now as an entirety of a gaming division, trying to reach everybody as much as possible, no matter what device they are playing on. The biggest place they are lacking is via mobile, and not cloud gaming, but downloading games natively through a store like Google Play or through Apple's App Store. Microsoft does not have a presence there, so much so they want this deal so that they can go out and make their own game store on mobile phones to compete with Apple and Google. And I think truly that is the real reason why they want this deal to go through. It just makes a ton of sense. Now, what Phil Spencer said here is a somewhat conflicting, because this was back in September. This was an article from September, and we have Rod Ferguson here saying, it's awesome seeing the excitement around the Diablo 4 beta and our Wolfpack puppy. We've been getting some questions about Diablo 4 on Game Pass, and I want to let you know we have no plans for that. See you in the Sanctuary during the beta early access weekend starting on March 17th. So Rod Ferguson is the GM of all things Diablo and Blizzard. So he's saying right now the game isn't coming to Game Pass, and maybe he's just saying that because, hey, the deal hasn't been pushed through yet, and those plans probably are going to be changing if this deal does get approved. So keep that in mind. But I can't wait to see what Xbox does with all of these catalog of games that they will be getting with this acquisition. How fast are they going to be putting them into Game Pass? Will it be right away? Will they wait a little bit? And are they going to be licensing them out instantly to services like PlayStation Plus? Or is there going to be a bit of time for them to develop deals that will be beneficial to the Xbox platform, beneficial to PlayStation as well, because at the same time, we do know that the agreements put in place are going to have to be enforced based off of what we've read through the CMA documents, and they're not going to want to go back on their word based off of the stuff they have said, where they are going to make sure that everything agreed upon with the remedies will be properly enforced. Now, when it comes to Call of Duty, we know one of the platforms that will be getting it if the deal goes through is Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch. And you would think a new Nintendo Switch is on the horizon because the current one, to put it clearly, is anemic in terms of power compared to the current stuff out there. And it's been out since 2017. There's still, I mean, there's amazing games like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming out on it, which is going to do very, very well. But Doug Bowser has said that they still have a few years left with the Nintendo Switch, which again isn't surprising because this console has just been selling like insane amounts, and they still sell insane amounts. They don't definitely want to abandon the current Nintendo Switch at any point. It makes no sense, especially as they're continuing to be able to sell the console. But here's what Doug Bowser says in terms of specifically the Nintendo Switch. As Mr. Furukawa, Nintendo's president Shunitaro Furukawa, said recently, "We're entering uncharted territory with the platform. It's exciting to see that demand is still there, so nothing to announce on any future console or device, but we are still feeling very bullish about the Nintendo Switch, saying that it is a truly unique device, and they plan to have something that's going to have a strong performance over the next few years, believing that the Switch is still going to be performing extremely well for the next number of years, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, who knows? I don't know how much longer that console can actually last before developers are just like, hey, we just don't want to develop for this thing anymore. It's going to really deteriorate our game, or at least third-party developers may start looking at that. You never know, but I do believe a Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo Switch Pro is going to be announced sometime in the near future, maybe releasing holiday 2024 or something along those lines. But I think it'll be fully backwards compatible, and they'll completely still be releasing games for the current Nintendo Switch. It's just way too big of a user base to abandon. But the reason why this is interesting is because one of the questions is Call of Duty coming over to the platform. How is it going to run on the current Nintendo Switch? And I think they will be able to find a way, as Microsoft did say, it isn't going to be a cloud version of Call of Duty. It is going to be a native version that is going to be coming onto the platform with the future releases. But you see games like Doom Eternal, you see games like The Witcher 3 being able to run on the current Nintendo Switch. The developers are going to have to do something to make sure that they get that native version running at a decent way, with not too big stutters. Obviously, the resolutions and the fidelity is going to be less than PC and the Series X and the PS5. But you take a look at something like the Xbox Series S, which is less powerful than the Series X and the PlayStation 5 by a decent degree. The game looks and runs exceptionally well on the Xbox Series S. So I think they're going to be able to use their magic and make something run on the Nintendo Switch, and they're going to have to, especially if they are doing what they're saying here, and they're going to be supporting it for the next number of years. And then finally, Atomic Heart 2 apparently is already planned for development. Now, the first Atomic Heart just came out in February. I'm playing through it. I'm about 8 to 9 hours into it, and I have to say, there's a lot I like about the game. There's also a lot I dislike about the game, and there is a huge margin for improvement if they do make a second one. And I think they should try to make a second one if this one sold well, if they made enough money off of it, because there's so many great things that just need to be improved that will make this game such a better experience. First of all, the open world is pretty tedious. I find like it isn't fun. You don't really get anything out of it, and it's just nonstop avoiding the sensors and being attacked by all these robots all the time. Kind of, you're making it not great to traverse where you need to go. It's kind of clunky. The controls are clunky. And I find at times it's like you're just running through sludge the entire time you're playing through this game. The voice acting and all that type of stuff isn't very good. You can tell it was probably just not translated as well as it could have been. But besides the things I don't like, there's so much to this game. The world is beautiful. There's storytelling in here that you could expand on. The weapons, again, you could add so many different types of weapons and upgrades and just give more to the arsenal of this game. And the overall environment, I think, would be something easily could be used going forward for future iterations of this game. So I would say overall, it was a good first effort, but there's a lot that can be improved upon. And I really hope that an Atomic Heart 2 does come out and that they pay attention to all the things that people have complained about. Because I think if they can just improve some things here and there, it will be an absolutely incredible game and an incredible franchise. But now Mundfish, they have kind of commented on the fact that allegedly right now, Atomic Heart 2, there are active plans for development. So it says here, in a short video, journalist Alexei Makarenikov explained that he'd spoken briefly with the developers at Mundfish. He said he'd raised the question regarding a potential sequel to Atomic Heart. And while there were expectations that Mundfish would downplay the question, the team allegedly stated that there are active plans to develop Atomic Heart 2. And again, they say it took about 5 years to build the first game. So you wouldn't expect an Atomic Heart 2 for another at least 4 to 5 years. If there's probably still trying to support the first one, and then they'll enter into deeper development for the second one. But it's good to see that they do have some plans for a second one, because I think there's just a lot that can be improved on to make a second release of Atomic Heart just infinitely better than what we currently have. And you see this a lot with brand new IPs, especially with like smaller studios. I don't know how big Mundfish is, but it isn't one of those massive big AAA studios where they have the insane amount of resources. They have a good idea, they put it out into the game. It's not polished enough for it to be a stellar, top of the line, critically acclaimed AAA game, but there's so much there, and I think Atomic Heart is one of those games. And finally, to end things off, let's talk about this. Just a quick recap as to where we are now with the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, because this is an updated timeline and we are in the middle of March right now. Recently saw the responses to the CMA remedies by Microsoft, by PlayStation. Again, I read through all of those. If you're interested in that, go check out those videos. So we are right here in the late March, April timeframe. And we've seen all the responses now where it says April 12th, 2023, a motion for a preliminary injunction on the gamers lawsuit. If you remember, that's that lawsuit the people are saying are by PlayStation gamers suing Microsoft with this deal, saying it's anti-competitive. April 18th is the second extension of the original outside date, which is if Microsoft wants to back out of this deal, they have to pay that termination fee of $2.5 billion. And if they don't back out, the outside date gets extended to July 18th, 2023. April 25th and April 26th are going to be the key dates you want to focus on here. 25th will be the final decision from the European Commission. And the 26th will be the final report and remedies from the CMA. And from what some analysts have said is that they've lined up those dates because decisions and remedies potentially are going to be very, very similar. And we know that the articles that we've seen, the European Commission is likely going to approve this deal because of the remedies that have been offered. So you would think maybe the CMA is looking at that and going to come to the same conclusion. April 28th will be the decision from New Zealand. Then you have April to May will be decisions from China, which from what we understand, Tencent is for this deal. Maybe it's NetEase or another big Chinese company is for this deal. So it looks like China is going to go ahead and approve this deal. Then you have July 18th. If Microsoft decides to back out, let's say they all block it, they back out, termination fee of $3 billion has to be paid. And then August 2nd, if it gets there with the FTC, it's going to be the in-house trial. You would expect, though, that if the European Commission, the CMA, China, New Zealand, they all approve this deal, whether it's with remedies or not, which they will be with remedies, but if they approve the deal, you would expect that some sort of deal is going to be made with the FTC and they're not going to go all the way to court. So that's just where we are right now. And I will definitely keep you updated when new information comes out. The Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff. Nintendo Switch, Atomic Heart, the plans for Activision Blizzard games coming into Xbox Game Pass, and the schedule for this deal. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, or hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.